Hi guys, it is just the most beautiful day and I'm on the beach. Surprise, surprise. So today I'm going to talk about some self-harm stuff. This is less difficult to talk about than the suicide issue was. I know that I kind of cut off rather abruptly yesterday, but I just wasn't comfortable talking about it. And I just wanted to reassure everybody that even though I'm talking about all of this stuff for Mental Health Awareness Week, I am okay at the moment. You know, I have my good days and I have my bad days. They're mostly good. Today's very good. And it's not even really bad days anymore. It's more like bad half-hour moments. So just to let you know, I'm alright, okay? Okay, so self-harm. This is less, as I say, this is less kind of serious than the suicide thing, but this is also something that I've never really talked about to anybody. So, again, if you are one of my close friends or family and you didn't know about this, then I am sorry, but I'm sure we'll talk about it. So, I have been self-harming for many years, or I was self-harming. I don't really do it anymore. I haven't for a very long time. But I have been since I was a teenager. As a teenager, it was very much sort of kind of gentle experimentation, I would say. I wasn't particularly happy at various points, and I think the media kind of perpetuated it because, you know, the media talks about self-harm a lot and about how it's such a big problem and everything, and it probably wouldn't have even really been on my radar unless I'd heard about it in the media. And the thing that I did hear about at school as I became a bit older and it became a bit more of a, like, more talked about issue amongst my peers, or not really talked about but acknowledged, a lot of people would say that it was just attention seeking. I don't know if some people do it just as attention seeking, and if they do, then that's also a problem, you know, that's not something to poo-poo about. But it was always a very private thing for me, and I did it because there'd be moments where I was just like, especially as a teenager, but also as a younger adult, where I'd just be kind of sitting in my room feeling crap and just wondering, or not even wondering, just needing an outlet for it. And, you know, you see people get violent and, like, punch trees and punch things when they're really angry and kick stuff, and it's that sort of, like, needing to let it out sort of thing. Again, I'm not going to talk about specifics because this isn't a, you know, expose as such. But it was pretty much constant. As a teenager, irregular, maybe like every few months. It was kind of constantly throughout my teenage years, but irregular, so sort of every three months or so. You know, I'd get the urge and I'd do it. I'm gonna sneeze again. If ever I needed proof that it is hay fever and exam season, this is it. So it didn't really get really bad until I went to university, and then in my first year a little bit, which was pretty tough. In my first year I had to go through counselling because I was just struggling to adjust to living away from home, and my counsellor was rubbish. He made me feel worse, and I just needed a way to kind of try deal with it. And then for a few years it was, well, for a couple of years it was okay, and then in that fourth year, which is when I had the really big meltdown, I was self-harming all the time. And it was the one thing that the people who knew about it were like, we can deal with anything else, but the self-harming is not. And so I said, like, when you're really angry and you punch a tree, you know, it was that sort of thing. You know, it was sitting, needing to have an outlet and doing something to yourself. And for me, it was particularly, I had to see a physical mark. You know, it wasn't okay to kind of be invisible, and to have an injury that really needed care. It was doing stuff like that, so making sure that I had really damaged my skin, and then it needed care, because there was the immediate sort of, okay, I'm feeling really awful and I'm going to do something that hurts, and then the physical pain will give me something to think about. So I'd be able to think about that, and that would kind of distract me from the mental anguish. And then there was aftercare, so there was, you know, like, immediately after, a few days after, a few weeks after, it was never I want people to see this and know that I'm self-harming. It was very much I don't want people to know about this. This is my coping mechanism. And I don't know if people ever really clocked that that's what it was, because it wasn't your sort of traditional cutting. That's not something that I don't know if I would ever do that, but you know, there are other ways to harm yourself. And once you found that coping mechanism, so once you do it once, you know, especially because as a teenager it was just like, maybe this will work, and then it kind of did work, but I don't know, maybe I didn't need it as much or something. Once you found something that works, that makes you feel slightly better about yourself, then it's very difficult to let that go. You know, if you know that, if you're addicted to cigarettes, say, and you're feeling stressed and you have a cigarette because you know it's going to make you feel better, it's that sort of thing. You know that doing something to yourself will make your mental stuff feel better, so it's very difficult to say, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. And I had one really good bit of advice from a therapist, and this is the wave that I was talking about in the suicide video, where she was like, the urge to do something like that lasts for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and you have to ride the wave. That's how she described it to me. So you have to just stay on top of it for that amount of time, like 30 to 45 minutes, and if you can withstand that desperate urge to do it for that amount of time, then it'll just gradually lessen. And she likened it to surfing, you know. You have to fight to stay on top of the wave for a while, and then as the wave breaks, you can kind of ride it out. And that is eventually how I managed to cope with it. So I would feel the urge to do it, and then I would I don't know, do some colouring in, or do some knitting, or do something. I had to do something that involved using my hands, which is probably why I'm so addicted to crafting, because I feel like my hands always have to be busy now. Well, I always did anyway. So that really helped, and I probably wouldn't have quit, to be honest, if I hadn't had a warning from several people who just said, that's enough, like, we can deal with everything, but this is the one thing that we don't understand. And I didn't manage to quit it cold turkey. I eventually stopped doing it every day, and then I gradually stopped doing it every week, and then from there it became very seldom, and I don't do it now unless I'm drinking. So if I'm drinking, I can have two reactions. I get really happy, or I get really, really sad and angry and upset, and that's when my barriers are down, and then I'm just like, right, this is the only way it's going to help. And also because when you're drunk you don't feel things as much, you do yourself worse damage, which is also one of the other reasons that I don't really drink. So I hope that kind of explains somebody's motivation behind doing it if you don't understand. I do feel much better now that I'm not doing it, because there's not the physical stuff that I have to hide. Chase, will you be quiet, please? And also, you know, when I'm feeling guilty and upset and my self-esteem's really low, I don't have that, and I'm also a really bad person because I self-harm. So, you know, that's good. I can say only positive things have come out of quitting, but it was really difficult. It was an addiction, and I did have to talk to my therapist about that. I would say that's one of the only things that a therapist has ever actually helped me to do. And would you please be quiet? I'm talking about serious things here. Yes. So yeah, I think that that's probably all I have to say on the matter. As always, if you have some of these issues yourself, if anything I talk about has affected you, check out the box below. I've put links. Chase is really getting quite antsy, so I'm gonna go and finish our walk, and if you have any comments, then do leave them below. With all of these mental health videos, I might not respond to comments. It depends on how much you know, rubbish stuff I get. I understand that people may disagree with anything that I'm saying, but if people are going to attack me for it, then I'm not going to respond to it, because I do have mental health problems and I struggle with it. So yeah, there we go. I'll see you guys later. Bye!